Call the meeting to order. Call the roll.
Trustee Fenton?
Here.
Trustee Dodge?
He is here, but he went to grab his iPad, so he'll be right back.
Trustee Calandrello?
Here.
Trustee Healy?
Here.
Trustee Katsinas?
Here.
Trustee Malani?
Here.
Mayor Pico?
Here.
Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of June 1st, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee Katsinas.
I move to approve the minutes of the Board of Trustee meeting of June 1st, 2020.
Second.
Any comments, changes? Call the roll.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Recreation Advisory Board appointment.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
I move to confirm the appointment of Tom Dubelby to the Recreation Advisory Board.
Second.
And just so everybody knows, Dan McMillan stepped down from the board primarily because he wants to be on the working group for the potential long-term parks facility that we've talked about and Trustee Dodge has talked about. And if he sits on both the Economic Development and the Rec Board, then it eats up 2 spots on that because of the Open Meetings Act. So he's decided that the Rec Advisory Board, it's been a good long run. He's done a great job there for a long time. And the reason for appointing Tom Dubelby is that the Rec Advisory Board, he's very familiar with recreation, and the goal here is to get the Recreation Advisory Board to be more active, and Tom is really good at getting people to be very active in the various things like he was with the Vets Commission. Call the roll.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Accounts payable from June 2nd, 2020 to June 15th, 2020.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the accounts payable from June 2nd, 2020 to June 15th, 2020 in the amount of $3,380,617.95.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye. Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Consent agenda.
Consent agenda, payroll for June 12, A, payroll for June 12, 2020 approval. B, Harris ERP annual licensing and support renewal extension. C, disposal of village equipment online auction Public Works Department ordinance. D, ordinance amending appendices A and B to salary ordinance number 5516. E, amendment to customer agreement between the Village of Orland Park and Census Gatso USA Incorporated for red light cameras. Item F, performance management software. Item G, online compliance training. Item H, 7648 159th Street, Class 7C resolution, Boda Car Wash. Item A, water tower lease agreement at 13605 Cherry Lane. I'll entertain a motion to approve items A through I of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
I'd like to remove items B and F, please.
Which items?
B and F.
B and F? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve items A, C through E, and G through I of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Harris ERP annual licensing and support renewal extension.
I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman? Sorry.
Trustee Dodge.
Move to approve the Harris ERP annual license and support renewal extension at a cost not to exceed $9,164.09.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani?
just a couple quick questions. I know this Harris ERP, we've talked about it several times. It seems like we're still keeping the lights on here with this and doing what we can, and that's why we have to keep renewing the support. And the interoperability, easy for me to say, issues were found a while ago. What are we doing to move forward and to resolve these issues? I know we're talking about a possible ERP strategy, so can you maybe just let me know a little bit about what's going on with that?
Absolutely. So obviously an ERP is the core of our information systems for all the other softwares that we have in our organization. So our ERP is not compatible with a lot of the software that we want to integrate with. So we are going to be putting out, well, first off, we're going to be formulating a group that's going to work on a holistic approach to our ERP. So when we go and we do a RFP for this system, we're taking into account all of the other software platforms that would integrate. One of the reasons this is here is because we, the village, has a contract with a human resources capital program, and it's a very robust program. But what happens is it does not integrate with Harris, so it really almost defeats the whole purpose of having to do into two places. So as part of this whole process, we are going to take, like I said, a holistic approach to our software, and that will mean a new ERP system. But as you know, ERP systems are extremely expensive, but they serve as the core of our information technology process. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, but in order to keep moving this forward, we have to have this Harris temporary extension.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm aware we need the extension for support and supportability of the product. I was just kind of wondering more about what this ERP strategy consists of, because there's other problems. EnerGov doesn't, integrate as well, so it's like we have a lot of issues there. So I was just wondering where we were heading with the strategy in a working group, because this is something we talked about in the Technology Commission when we had all these pieces and parts together. It's like, this would be really nice if we had like automatic ordering of assets when we know that we're running low on things like that. But it all needs to be tied together to work order management, but we can't do that now. So I was also wondering, have you considered possibly using the Technology Commission as part of your working group? Because there's a lot of good, smart people that could help out with that.
Absolutely, and I think when prior to COVID, when I attended one of their meetings as well, and they were excited about this opportunity, and when we talked about the problem of integration, they all kind of shook their heads, because what was happening was there was a lot of good intents when they were bringing in software, but there wasn't that ability where it integrated. So it's not just our organization, it's other organizations that see this problem. So we definitely want to tap into their resources.
Yeah, integration issues are nothing new in IT, so yeah, I'm familiar. So thank you.
Any other comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrolo?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Performance management software?
Item F. I'll entertain a motion to approve the village manager to enter into a one-year agreement with the option to renew for 3 additional terms with GovHR Engagedly for implementation and annual subscription services for the PRISM Performance Review System.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Malani?
Just taking a look at this, and I see we did a cost summary to compare the 3 products. Okay, there's a setup fee, first annual and first year and second year. But I'm kind of wondering, did we actually do an evaluation of the products, and how did we come up with this is the best product for us, and what were the criteria that we used for that?
The Human Resources team did an evaluation of the products, and what set the PRISM product apart was that it was actually already tailored for government organizations. GovHR actually had worked directly with Engagently to set up competencies and workflows that are productive in this type of environment.
Okay. Again, another reason why I ask. Probably another good reason why we have a technology commission. We have people that can help evaluate. So I think this is something that they probably could have looked at as well. But I was just curious as really what the criteria were. Did we do a product selection matrix of some sort? Do we analyze, we have point 1, point 2, point 3, this is what we need, and we make sure we achieve that. So it sounds like that you did go through that, so.
We did. We are in the process of redeveloping the performance management process for employees. Earlier in the year, we implemented an open range merit system for our non-union employees. One of our objectives is to really focus on goal setting for our evaluation process. We saw this as a good way from the functional standpoint to get that project going and off the ground, as well as to provide a technical solution at the same time.
Right. Yep. I'm familiar. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Fenton.
Aye.
Trustee Calendaro.
Aye.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye.
Village of Orland Park Complete Streets Policy.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy.
can I have a resolution number, John?
2028.
I move to approve resolution number 2028 entitled Resolution Approving and Adopting Complete Streets Policy.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Mayor Pecan?
Trustee Dodge.
Just to clarify, we're building out the language as opposed to having a policy of incomplete streets. So I get the need to make sure it's clear. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page on that one, so.
We need to pass this policy in order to be eligible for a lot of our grants. So that's why we're doing it.
It's all good.
Any other questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Fenton. Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Calendaro.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Mayor Pico.
Aye.
Budget adjustment, second quarter 2020, part 4.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy.
I move to approve an increase in the fiscal year 2020 revenue budget of the general fund in the amount of $247,549, an increase in the fiscal year 2020 expenditure budget of the Parks Development Fund in the amount of $53,875, a decrease to the fiscal year 2020 expenditure budget of the Recreation and Parks Fund in the amount of $24,725, a decrease in the fiscal year 2020 expenditure budget of the Water and Sewer Fund of $29,150, and an increase in the fiscal year 2020 expenditure budget in the general fund in the amount of $859,193.
Second?
Any questions or comments? I do have one question. So I see the Sterling Ridge Park development with a $50-some thousand adjustment here. One of the things that we were pretty adamant about last year when we delayed the project, and we delayed it so that we could have discussions with the rec department, with residents, and and I believe we had a committee of the whole, or at that point a parks committee, and then also we had more discussion here on the board floor about it. One of the things that we were very firm about as a board was that the budget was the budget. And since it was a passive space, we were going to stay within the budget. Whether we went passive or active, we were going to stay within the budget. So now we see a $53,000 budget amendment, which, if I recall, that's about 30% increase. So could I have an explanation for that?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just recommend maybe that make the budget adjustment without that so that we can, for the next meeting, just get clarification for everybody.
Okay, could somebody run the numbers there as with the, how we should amend the motion?
Can we just say minus?
So I'll entertain a motion to amend the motion and that, get that approved. Are there any other comments for the main motion? So the question is put, I move to approve an increase to the fiscal year 2020 revenue budget of the general fund in the amount of $247,549, an increase, a decrease to the fiscal year 2020 expenditure budget of the Recreation and Parks Fund in the amount of $24,725, a decrease in fiscal year 2020 expenditure budget of Water and Sewer Fund of $29,150, and an increase in the fiscal year 2020 expenditure budget in the general fund in the amount of $859,193. Call the roll.
Trustee Ely?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calangelo?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
A resolution in support of Village of Orland Park Police Department.
Mayor Pecan,
Trustee Dodge.
could I have resolution number, please?
2029.
Move to approve Resolution 2029, entitled Resolution in Support of the Village of Orland Park Police Department.
Second.
Mayor Pecan?
Second? Oh, somebody second?
Sorry.
Yeah, it was already seconded. Before you go, Trustee Dodge, I'm not going to do this with all the resolutions, but I am going to do this with this one because I think it's very important. It's a resolution in the support, so I'm going to read the resolution. Resolution in support of the Village of Orland Park Police Department. Whereas the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Orland Park desire to show support for the Orland Park Police Department, and whereas the Orland Park Police Department has an exemplary record of engagement with village community members, participating in numerous community policing activities like Cop in a Park, beat meetings, alerts, Citizen Police Academy, National Night Out, Bike Patrol, Coffee with a Cop, Cones with a Cop, Senior Citizens Crime Prevention Luncheon, Teen Citizen Police Academy, and more. And whereas the Orland Park Police Department engages with the remarkably diverse visitors to the village and its 12 million square feet of retail establishments, including the region's premier mall, Orland Square. And whereas the Orland Park Police Department has an outstanding and recognized record of police service and being on the front lines of crime prevention, investigations, and arrests. And whereas the issue of policing practices has risen to a national prominence and a new dialogue needs to start regarding the obligations of the public when engaging law enforcement. And whereas nationally the well-known and well-documented antecedent conditions to crime need to be addressed with fact-based and data-driven solutions. Whereas in 2019, the village has the lowest number of index crimes in 27 years due to the outstanding work of the Orland Park Police Department. And whereas the village has the lowest violent crime rate of towns with a population over 50,000 people because our police department is effective, efficient, and focused on public service. And whereas the Orland Park Police Department actively visits the elementary schools in the village to engage with students and staff on a daily basis and plans and practices for emergencies regularly with our schools. And whereas the village president and board of trustees of the Village of Orland Park, on behalf of the citizens of the village, has long properly funded the police department for training, hiring, equipment, and technology. And whereas the village and the Orland Park Police Department have long-standing policies of fairness in hiring. Now therefore be it resolved by the village president and board of trustees of the Village of Orland Park, Cook and Will County, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, the above recitals are incorporated by reference into this section and made a part hereof as though fully set forth herein. Section 2, the village president and board of trustees of the village declares this month, June 2020, as Police Recognition Month in the Village of Orland Park. The resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption as provided by law. Trustee Dodge.
Mayor Peacock, thank you. So this resolution came from a conversation that the mayor and I had, I don't know, a week or so ago, where we brought it up and we thought it'd be a good idea to just simply thank our police department for a lot of reasons. But I think as citizens of a great country, we all have to recognize there are problems nationally that need to be addressed. And so that said, and that's included in this ordinance, there's a lot of things we need to work through as a civil society, hopefully in a relatively more civil manner. Lots of work to be done on that one. But I don't want any of that to confuse the essential message, which is we do have and have had, and we're very blessed with a great police department. And I think we should continue to do everything that we can to make sure that they are properly funded. And any of us that talks to a police officer these days or command staff in a police department will tell you they're doing a lot of great things. Society asks an awful lot of modern day policing. And I think we need to have a broader discussion about how to solve some of the problems that the first thing you do when you have a disturbance at home or you have somebody with whatever problems, the cops get involved. Well, they're not just that agency anymore. We've got to do some other things as a broader society. But again, thank you once, thank you twice to a great police department.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Malani?
In Orland Park, we've got the fortunate opportunity to have, if not one of the best, but the best police department in the state. It all starts at the top with not only our great leadership, but the great department we have as a whole. I think in the past few weeks, we have seen several examples of just how good they really are. I've also had the opportunity to work directly with them, and I only have positive things to say about the result. The amount of preparation, the planning, and maintaining the safety of our officers, our volunteers, and most importantly, our residents has been paramount. It's been an honor and definitely a privilege to be able to work with you and work this closely with you. So thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee Katsinas?
the mayor and I were involved this morning in going to the police department with a special group of our residents, some of whom are here tonight. Yvonne Shirley got a group of people together in her neighborhood where she lives over in Deer Point and made a very nice donation and a very strong show of support to our officers. So thank you. You're one of many of our residents certainly who feel that way, but you took the extra step and you really showed them how thankful we are. So for that, I thank you. Thank you, Orland Park Police.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee Calandrello?
it's very brief. I won't keep on repeating everyone, but I think we know this is not a secret, the resolution. We know we have the best police department in the nation. I was lucky enough to be a prosecutor when I was prosecuting Orland Park before my days on the board, and the most professional force training. It goes from the top but to the bottom. So, and they do a lot of the issues that I was seeing today are not in Orland Park because they're trained properly. They have the proper policies, which I think deals a lot with the leadership. So I can repeat everything everyone else said, but as a prosecutor, I thought that had to be put out there, that they are the gem of the 5th District, the gem of this area, and I think of this country. So thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Fenton?
Just want to say kudos. Deputy Chief Mitchell is back there. He'll, send all these good wishes to the entire department. And I don't want to repeat everything, but I've always stated all the years I've been on the board, we have the best of the best in our police department in the village of Orland Park. And I know the residents are grateful for everything that you do and every day that you go out there and put your lives on the line to keep our community safe. So thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Healy?
A couple Sundays ago, there was a threat of a demonstration over at of an event at the mall. The police were a mile ahead of us, so many steps ahead of them. Nothing happened. There was a demonstration planned for 143rd last week. It went off without any incident, and the police, again, were way ahead of it for every contingency plan. I feel bad for the other suburbs, like, what's wrong with them? How come they can't have a department like this? And it gets down to hiring good people and filtering out and taking time to evaluate new hires and that. And I think they do an excellent job with that. And it's the #1 police force around. And I feel privileged to live in their suburb.
So the last few weeks have been a trying time for our country. it really is unfortunate that over 700,000 police officers and approximately 18,000 separate law enforcement agencies are being judged by the actions of one officer and the inactions of 3 others. And the same thing applies when there are other incidents. Just like we should not judge peaceful protesters, like the several hundred that protested peacefully here last Friday in Orland Park, by the actions of the looters and lawbreakers, we should not judge all law enforcement officers by the actions of a few. I would also like to add that while I may not agree with the protesters from last week, I am proud of them for conducting themselves peacefully and lawfully. I have served in combat, and I know what it's like to be in harm's way. However, I can tell all of you that these officers face uncertainty with every traffic stop and every encounter that I can only imagine. The courage that these men and women display every day is unparalleled. I remember when our very own officer, Carrie Kelly Vallon, risked her life to save the life of a teenager on the parking deck here at Marcus Theater, at risk to herself. Also, our very own chief took a bullet meant for President Ronald Reagan. The First Amendment states that we have the right to peaceably assemble. The key words in that First Amendment are that we have the right to peaceably assemble. There is no excuse for the violence we witnessed 2 weeks ago. I want to commend our police department for keeping our residents, visitors, and properties safe when people were trying to use this incident as an excuse to violate the law and commit acts of violence and vandalism. I have also heard several politicians and pundits grandstand and say that the system is the problem. I will reiterate what I said a few weeks ago. It is not the system that is the problem. It's failed leadership that is the problem. The reason we don't have those problems in Orland Park is due to outstanding leadership. The village board made an outstanding decision 27 years ago to hire Chief McCarthy, who has done an outstanding job of hiring and developing other leaders in the department and making our police department an exemplar and a model for others to follow. You have heard the many accolades and many statements in the resolution here tonight. I won't repeat them all. Ultimately, it is the partnership between an outstanding police department that knows the meaning of protecting and serving our residents and visitors. It's village leadership that places emphasis on public safety and community policing, and a community that acts lawfully and treats our police with respect, as evidenced by the peaceful protest last week. I could not be more proud of our police department and its officers. They have remained on the job and on the front line throughout the COVID crisis, did an unbelievable job through long hours and difficult circumstances during a challenging week, and then showed how to properly handle peaceful protests last week. They deserve the respect of our citizens, and I think they have it. I am proud to be the mayor of our police department and proud to declare this month Orland Park Police Appreciation Month. Call the roll.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Calendrello? Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Resolution regarding 2020 Independence Day celebration.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani?
can I have a resolution number, please?
2030.
I move to approve resolution number 2030 entitled Resolution Regarding 2020 Independence Day Celebration.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Fenton?
this is something new that we've never done before, make resolutions for our celebration, and I understand it's because of the circumstances within society with the COVID-19. But I look at this resolution and this event, I'm all for the fireworks. I think it's phenomenal that staff was able to work with our fireworks company to get them to do all aerial displays instead of ground displays so people can stay home, they can see the fireworks. I don't understand why we're offering to have a band play and to encourage more people to come. I know there's going to be restrictions on parking, but to me, we're creating a nuisance, just like somebody who has a swimming pool and doesn't put up a fence. so people could, you know, get into the pool. You're liable for it because you have the nuisance there and you chose not to take the precautions. I think having this event will be in the next phase so you can have more people, but this event in Orland Park draws thousands and thousands of people. You know, what is our liability legally? So I guess that question is for our village attorney as far as us being sued by holding the event, therefore having the nuisance, and somebody gets COVID-19. And so, you know, that's one of my, you know, major concerns. What about our employees? This is going to be, you have to work, and granted, I know the village manager told me everybody has their PPE equipment, but does that secure, it doesn't, it's not foolproof. Look at how many first responders who were wearing their PPE equipment all got COVID-19. So to me, I just don't understand why we're creating this nuisance. Granted, everybody has the opportunity to stay home, but what about the people who think, well, okay, it's safe, you know, they have their, you know, the staff is all covered up and everything like that. So I guess my question is, why don't we just do the fireworks, close off the gate at Fun Park, eliminate the band situation, going to save a lot of money, and just do the fireworks. I don't understand why we're creating this opportunity to create a nuisance where, in fact, I don't understand why we can't be sued. I mean, the President of the United States is having an event, but you have to sign a waiver saying, don't sue my campaign if you get COVID-19. So I guess that goes to Dennis for a question.
So from a liability standpoint, of course, you can't prevent anybody from suing the village for whatever reason. If the village conducts the event within the guidance and guidelines of, at the time, I think that significantly reduces the liability issues. The other part of this from a practical legal standpoint is that it's virtually impossible to demonstrate the cause of the disease. So it would be practically impossible for someone to say, this event at this time caused me to get sick. So if someone sued us, I think the likelihood of success on that is remote at best.
So I guess it goes back to, why don't we just do the fireworks and eliminate the other part? I guess that would be my question to staff, the board, the mayor, whoever.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy.
this has been a heck of a year, and I've had it with this COVID stuff. Everybody here is crawling the walls to get out of the house and all that. It's been a horrible effect on a lot of things in our society and in our community. But what's overshadowed it in the recent weeks has been the violent demonstrations, the lack of law and order in our country, the defiling of monuments to our founders, and in essence, a movement to get rid of the Constitution, get rid of all authority. These are nihilists who don't stand for anything, and all they want to do is tear down our esteemed country. The only place in the world that people come to avoid socialism and that. I think that I think we should push back on these people who are these, I don't want to call them protesters, but we'll call them their criminals, the thugs, the looters, and that. And we should have to push back on them. Now, we could get a bat and try and beat them up when they're looting or whatever, but probably the best way is passively, do some way of passively pushing back, and that is to celebrate our heritage and celebrate our freedom. Let the community and other communities know that a lot of people love this country, and a lot of people love the Constitution, and a lot of people are proud of it. And we are not a community that supports looting and these other criminal behaviors. I just think that this should be a celebration as a sign that people don't agree with these motions. They don't agree with the police sitting back and doing nothing while they loot the small businesses and that. We've got to start pushing back, and I think this is a perfect way to show that the Constitution is alive and well, and the American independence is alive and well. And I understand, People shouldn't come there, but they, I would hope they could support a large demonstration of how great this country is.
Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Calandrello.
Just focusing on the event, I am very concerned about this event. And I love the 4th of July, and I could remember when I was a small kid watching the fireworks from Tree Top, and you can see 4 different fireworks and running down to the display in the tent. But holding this event with thousands of attendants, it just doesn't sit right with me. First, we were holding, and Kathy talked about it, holding a concert attracting large crowds to Talon Park and onto the ball diamonds. It's going to be very hard to enforce social distancing at this event. The precautions really needed to really make this a safe event, I think would be difficult, if not impossible, to implement even with our award-winning staff. And I know our staff could do the best they can, but given the direction to do something that I think is not the right thing to do. Second, we're setting off high-altitude fireworks, which will be able to be seen far away. Why do we need to increase the risk of the spread of COVID by allowing people to congregate in the park? If we allow residents to watch from parking lots in their cars, something to lower the risk. This resolution creates a large-scale event, and we should need to eliminate the gathering. And the reason why we're doing so well as a state, the best state, by some studies, is because we've been keeping track and we're keeping on focus on the health and safety of others. Third, we are the only town having these fireworks around us. Tinley Park has canceled it, Oak Forest has, Frankfurt, New Lenox, to name a few, canceled their shows. I know if we are the only one of the shows in the area, guess where people are going to come? I know we're talking about checking residents only, and I have issues with that on a couple of fronts, including possible constitutionality and practicalness, but let's overlook that one. Okay, and then fourth, I feel like passing this resolution was political in nature. There's no legal reason, and Dennis can confirm that there's no legal reason for this to be passed. This is an administrative decision that did not need full board approval. I believe this is politics, period, with all due respect. And finally, and most importantly, and I think this is one of the most important things to me, is this is unnecessary stretching our village team, including our police and fire departments. With the increased demand, and we just talked about it, for these men and women at this time, this is not a wise decision, in my opinion. I love the 4th of July. I sworn to protect the Constitution as a lawyer, but we don't need to come together, all together, side by side in Centennial Park to celebrate America, because we can celebrate other ways. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Milani.
I don't know. I think it's pretty simple. The show must go on. I mean, I'm happy that we're celebrating Independence Day, because not only are we celebrating our independence as a country, we're celebrating our independence from COVID-19. We've been in the House long enough. We can definitely move forward. We can persevere through all of this. And most importantly, we can come together once again as a community, which we've been lacking to do so lately. Obviously, there's restrictions, reduced capacity, social distancing, reduced access to the areas. We're not going to have water fountains. These are things to keep people safe. Most importantly, people have a choice. If they don't want to go, they can stay home. If they want to come and entertain themselves for an hour, they can do so. It's choice. That's what we were given, a God-given right, and you have the ability to make one. I look at this, and if I can have 600 people in a Costco waiting in line, what is different than having 600 people outside in a very large area, spaced out apart from one another, enjoying actually getting out of the house for a change? I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give people the freedom that they deserve and the ability to exercise it. So I think that's why we need to move forward with this, and I hope it's a great turnout. So thank you for moving this forward.
Mayor Pico?
Trustee Dodge.
Like a lot of things that we've had to tackle lately as a board, we all have mixed feelings when we come to a specific question. So on the idea of doing the fireworks, I really don't have a problem with it going, and I hope that we write this down in a minute. Trustee Milani and I agree on something, which is, if we do this for a reason, and people have a choice. Okay, that's the high-level philosophical point of view. The practical on the ground reality, is I think we need to be fairly careful, so to speak, that for lack of a better phrase, how do you put up a big signage or two or three or four that kind of reminds people about their obligation as individuals, protect yourselves, social distancing, all the thing that we've been living under the mantra for 90 plus days, and let's get on with it. So there's some things in here that I don't like. I mean, the fourth or fifth whereas from the last, I'd like to see stricken. But I think if we do this, it's a way to say we're all trying to get back to normal. I strongly recommend that if you have any of the now well-publicized comorbidities, or if you're such an age group and infirmities, I think is the right word, stay home. I'm sure we'll find a way to videotape it and we'll get you really great coverage of the event, but don't go. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, somebody somewhere in our society has got to take a step forward and say, let's get back on the pathway towards normal. Is there risk? Hell yeah. I don't wish COVID-19 on anybody I know, like them or dislike them. It's a horrible illness for the people that have gotten it, and many people just sail right through, and it's mild. But then you hear horror stories about 20-year-old, what was the recent case? A 20-year-old woman had a double lung transplant to survive this thing. There's just no way to know at the individual level how this thing is going to jump up and hurt you, so that's the risk. But we've got a couple things we need to do here. It's decision-making under uncertainty. Let's have the event. Let's be extremely cautious. Let's tell everybody, carefully decide your own risk. If you want to see it from a distance, see it from a distance. You want it up close because you like the concussion, you like the sound, you like the smell of the fireworks, go do it. But I think we should take this step, and in a moment when we're done with the comments, I would like to see just one of the whereases, stricken, and I think this is a good idea to start this. Everybody should take responsibility for themselves.
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Fenton.
I totally agree with Trustee Malani and everybody else that, yes, we do have a choice, and that's what the United States is about, and the flag and the fireworks and celebration on the 4th of July. We all have a choice whether or not we want to go. However, our staff doesn't have a choice. And I mean, you can put all these masks on you want, but most of the people in here aren't even wearing a mask. So obviously, I'm concerned, he's concerned, but most of the people aren't concerned. So, you're exposing staff to this. That's my concern. Fireworks, I think we should glorify it, do it, whatever. Do people want to get out of the house? Absolutely. Shoot, I was confined into a hospital for a month. So if anybody wants to get out, I want to get out. But in a massive crowd, no. Would I go to Costco? No, that's my choice not to go. Plus, I'm not a member. So I just think it's not independent. It has nothing to do with whether we're not celebrating Independence Day. Everybody sitting in this room, I think, is a true American. We stood up and we said the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. But I just would really wish we would just do the fireworks and not the concert part. Or if you're going to open up the park, skip the concert part. I mean, I can't see the band staying 6 feet apart up on a stage. The stage isn't even that big. So, I don't know. Those are just my concerns, but I am a true American. I fly my flag. This will be the first fireworks display I will not be going to. But that is my choice, and it's the choice of other individuals. I just don't like the fact that we're offering that little nuisance out there, because you don't know what other people are going to do.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
questions for staff. When did we sign the contract for the fireworks and the concert? And how much would it cost us if we cancel? So there'd be no cost to cancel the fireworks? And the band? It's good to know. Thank you.
Any other comments? So, over the last couple of weeks, we've seen thousands of people demonstrate right next to one another. And that started about 16 days ago. We've seen no COVID cases spike here in Illinois. There were no restrictions there. We've put restrictions in place. If people get too close to the stage, we're going to actually keep people off of the stage with some restrictions there, and we'll just ask them to move. Those thousands of people were in very small spaces as opposed to a 160-acre park where we have, 9 ball fields, 5 soccer fields. People can spread out. I think people will use good judgment. What's the difference between holding the fireworks and dropping a band in and playing music that pipes through all of our speakers throughout the entire Centennial Park? So I encourage people to socially distance and make your own choices. It's very disturbing that someone thinks that celebrating Independence Day is political. There was a time in this country where that stuff didn't happen, and the political divide ended when we were celebrating our country. That doesn't appear to happen anymore. It's unfortunate. The last 2 months have been a trying time for our country. It's time to celebrate it. The ideals of the Declaration of Independence have emboldened us to forge our own paths as individuals and as a nation. I'm going to read to you some of what's in the Declaration, not all of it, but some that I think are very pertinent to today. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has excited domestic insurrections among us. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We've reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We've appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would have inevitably interrupted our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. Independence Day is about celebrating the values that this country was founded upon. The Declaration of Independence was written with the theory that every person has inherent rights. Because we have those inherent rights, we should and will celebrate by hosting both the Liberty Fun Run, our fireworks display, and host a free concert with music by Gone to Paradise. The Liberty Fun Run will be held over 12 hours so that we can ensure that social distancing can be maintained. Additionally, we will limit parking to those with village stickers, if the board approves, in an effort to reduce attendance and make it easier to maintain social distancing. Additionally, the display will be done at a higher altitude, like you've heard, than normal to allow viewing from other locations in the village. Call the roll.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
No.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calgendro?
No.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye. Motion carries 5-2.
Resolution regarding village facility access.
Could I have a resolution number, please?
2031.
Mayor Peacock,
Trustee Dodge.
move to approve Resolution 2031. Did I get that right, John? 2031?
Yes.
Titled Resolution Regarding Village Facility Access, so we can have the discussion.
Second.
Second.
Mayor Peacock?
Trustee Dodge.
Just, if we could just have a bit of a discussion and some staffs. I mean, again, back to my comments earlier, I think every incremental step towards normality while we're going through all of these issues is important. We've got to be careful, right? I mean, there's an element here of making sure people are safe, so we could just have some background on this.
So with the approval of this resolution, we will make Sportsplex available effective tomorrow with limited capacity and a number of other modifications for the safety of the patrons. So we're using we're going to use CDC guidelines. We're going to have areas that'll be separated. So with the approval of this resolution, Sportsplex would be open tomorrow.
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Fenton.
In the resolution, it also mentions that the Orland Park Health and Fitness Center is included in this resolution. And as you and I spoke today, we know that Power Wellness does not want to open up. And so the other thing would be, what liability does that, since in 10 days, if this is approved and it goes, goes into effect tomorrow, in 10 days, they would be able to open up anyway without this resolution. So does that leave the village with any liability? It's because we're not following the executive order and/or guidelines?
It's similar to the earlier answer I gave you, which is you can't help if somebody sues you for something.
I'm
Under our
talking
home
about
rule
not
po-
the people, I'm talking about the state. Because we're not following the guidelines set
I
forth.
think our position is that under our home rule powers, we have the right to open up for the benefit of the health, welfare, and safety of our residents, and we have that legal right.
Okay, so is the Health and Fitness Center coming out of the resolution?
So we're going to continue to work with them to, if you leave it in the resolution and depending on when, and nobody knows for sure when next phase or what the parameters are, if we can get to the point where we can come up with some type of agreement, then it will give us that opportunity to open with Orland Park Health and Fitness as well.
Mayor Peacock, question for staff. So at the risk of being overbearing, are we literally going to hand out a piece of paper so that people get what they're doing? I mean, I'm all for individuals making decision. I'm also a huge believer, and have been my entire life, about informed consent. Here, you, George, have all the information you need from the village, from the state, from CDC, ad nauseum. Make a choice, but the facility's open. I'm okay with that, but unfortunately, in this day and age where, everybody sues for everything at the drop of a hat, I just want to make sure we take the, unfortunately now necessary step to be overbearing in our over-communication. You, the individual, need to make the best choice for you. How do we do that well? That's the one thing I would ask with these things, which is, I hate to have to shout it from the mountaintop, but, unfortunately, going on a little bit here for the board, for your forbearance, I think a hell of a lot of people have become overly concerned and overly scared given the way the media has been covering this and what's now been proven to be historic levels of overreaction at the federal and state level. That said, we're not done. We don't know exactly the final trajectory of this thing, and so you've got to get people to act intelligently on their own behalf, because then it adds up to a collective good. So again, how the hell do we just big sign that says, here's what you should do, here are the risk factors, choose well? Long question, George, sorry for that.
And and so I know that staff has taken a whole bunch of precautions, and we can absolutely put a very large sign at the entrance there with all of that.
Well, not quite all of it. We'll condense it.
Yeah, we'll condense it.
Use curd sheet.
Solution out there.
Yeah.
You see the spirit of what I'm saying,
absolutely,
correct?
Right, yep. Yeah,
I don't know if the Mayor Pico, I hope the board agrees. It's like, let's just over-communicate this.
absolutely.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Calandrello.
On trustee Dodge's point, I do have concerns about our liability. I mean, if we have 100 members all getting COVID on one, within the same period of time, that's going to be good enough for us to get past a motion to dismiss. So I would like to amend section 2 to include G, waiver liability for all members entering the facility.
Hold on. Section 2?
Section 2, so after the last, so page 3 we're talking about, so it'd be section 2. I think that's only section 2.
You want to add a waiver? Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, so it would read, and I'm sure,
And that's for the Sportsplex and the Orland Health and Fitness, correct?
right, yes.
Do you see it?
I'm having problems with my iPad.
There's
I got
this
it.
way I have
I got
like
it.
A through F, and then
Yeah.
there's like,
So
Mr. Mayor?
I'll entertain a motion to add item G to section 2, that will have a waiver requirement for all members of Orland Health and Fitness and Sportsplex that use the facility. They only have to sign it once, right?
right. Yes.
So I'll entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second?
Any questions or comments on the motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani?
just a quick question. They already sign a waiver when they sign for their membership, don't they?
It doesn't include COVID-specific. This would be COVID-specific.
Okay, just was wondering if that was all encompassing.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't think it hurts. We've
Yeah.
talked about doing that.
I think you can combine trustee Dodge's notification and the waiver in the same document so that people are aware that they're actually coming at their own risk.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Call the roll on the amendment.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Malani?
If, we look around on social media, and if you talk to the residents, I mean, they're asking for this. When is Sportsplex going to be open? When's the fitness center going to be open? When the park's going to be open? When can we start using this stuff again? So I think, Orland Park has been asking, we're listening. I think this is, going to be a welcome relief that people can get out of the house and start to use the facilities again, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Katsinas?
Will that waiver be ready tomorrow for patrons of the Sportsplex to sign?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Take
you.
care of it.
Thank you,
First thing in the
Dennis.
morning.
Any other comments? So in the last 2 weeks, as we all know, we've seen rioting, looting, peaceful protests, and for 2 weeks, we haven't seen a spike in cases. They're congregating, not practicing social distancing. Some of these events drew thousands of people. Through all that, the number of cases has gone down, the case positivity rate's gone down, the number of hospitalizations continue to decline rapidly, and the hospital system has plenty of capacity to deal with any surges. In fact, I think the governor came out there, tweeted something with a picture saying that, oh, we're #1 in the case reduction in the last 2 weeks. Okay, well, every expert in the world says we should be using a 14-day phase. So let's move on. This is small because we can't open everything, but these are things that we can do to give our residents, and we can safely move into the next phase, and especially if they're aware and we're practicing social distance guidelines, which we are doing. And it's really important that we do that. We can only open our pool facilities, and that's what we talk about in here, to the extent that IDPH allows, and that's what we're doing. But, I'm very concerned that our residents, particularly our seniors and our children, haven't had access to facilities that allow them to maintain good health. I know several seniors that walking's not enough, may have had knee replacements, hip replacements, they need to do weight training, they haven't been able to do that. Same thing with cardiovascular, walking is just not enough for them, they can't jog or something like that. So I think it's pretty important. So I don't see any reason that our facilities should remain closed. So what we're including in here is that our playgrounds and fields will be fully open without restrictions, except we recommend that social distancing is maintained wherever possible. So, again, people, to Trustee Dodge's point, need to use good judgment. Sportsplex open for members, and then I think also for sports team rentals and classes, which it provided the social distancing and the group sizes are maintained 10, and we maintain social distancing. And we've also put protocols in place to take care of our machines and make sure that they're sanitized properly. It's really important that our residents are allowed to access fitness options that allow them to lead healthy lives, and being locked up for as long as they are is just not healthy. So it's important that we do this. Call the roll.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Calandrello?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
Shop Orland Park Economic Development Program.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Katsinas.
John, may I have an ordinance number, please?
5524.
I move to approve ordinance number 5524, entitled "An Ordinance Authorizing Shop Orland Park Economic Development Programs."
Second.
Any comments?
I think it's a great idea.
Mayor Pico,
Trustee Dodge.
I'm particularly impressed by the logo. I was hoping we could show it. I think that just works.
We got a thumbs
great
up,
job.
George.
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee Calandrello.
just want to thank staff for hard working. I know they started this probably from day one, from when everything broke out. So I'm glad we're doing something. I think the $500,000, give or take, that we may, we're making an investment. So even if we lose a tad on this incentive program, it means a lot to get the Orland Park out there and keep it running. So as we know that we're dependent on sales tax revenue, so anything that helps sales tax revenue helps our residents, as we all know, and coming in that business cycle. But one question, the Visa card, are we able to confirm it's only going to be used in Orland Park, or is that one of those things that we weren't able to work out?
So to have Visa, it has to be able to be used wherever Visa
Is
is
accepted.
accepted, right? It's like a commercial. We're obviously going to encourage folks to come back with their Visa cards to an Orland Park business so that we can get the second benefit from that incentive.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Katsinas.
I think this is an excellent program, and thank you to all the staff that worked on it. This has been a masterpiece in work for a long, long time, and this is a way to show our businesses we have thought about them, we do care about them. A lot of our local businesses have given to various community charities. This is our way to give back to them, to thank them for their support. Now we're going to support them. So thank you.
Mayor Pico,
Trustee Dodge.
just when I first heard about this was some of the ideas that you had. So I just wanted to say I appreciate you pushing on this one. And this is kind of what we'd always intended. How do we support our business community and start doing, for lack of a better word, I'll call it, the branding. So that's all good. But again, to all the conversations we've had, it's a step towards normality. And that is, I think, precisely what we need as a community, what the state needs, and broadly what the country and even the world needs, which is let's keep stepping thoughtfully towards normality. So it's good.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy.
I think this is fabulous for the small businesses of Orland Park, and I know this will help them and push some sales. It is, I think it's good timing on this also, and I know Mrs. Healy will be very thankful. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Fenton.
Just want to thank staff, great job, and great idea, getting behind all of our businesses. How, are we just advertising this strictly on our Facebook page and the website, or are we also going to do some other promotional
It's very multifaceted. So our main advertising is going to be social media boosted. We're going to have professionally made commercials on social media. So there's a lot of elements that's going to go into getting the word out. And we're very excited about this, and I think it's going to be very effective.
Can we stick something in the water bill for, I mean, like I get mine online, but if we could stick something in the water bill, maybe?
And so Shop Orland Park is really, it's really two parts. One is it's our general overall economic development platform, and then we have our specific programs that we're going to have in July. So Shop Orland Park is going to be reoccurring. We're going to use our newsletter. We're going to use every resource we can to continue to hammer that. So we're going to have window clings that we're hoping that the residents are driving around with. So we're going to look everywhere we can to augment your traditional advertising with the kind of new marketing.
Oh, good.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani,
why not, right? Okay.
you want to talk tonight, apparently.
Trustee Dodge is back. I really think this really holds great merit, right? Thanks, staff. You did a great job putting it together, but I think it's also a very thorough response to an important problem we're facing today. Not only are we going to help drive traffic to our local business to stimulate our economy, we're also giving back to the residents who help drive that economy. And we're going to incent them and thank them for shopping in Orland Park. Sounds like we've also put in adequate measures in place to keep track of all the transactions, and we're also going to be able to track the performance of this to see if it's working or not. So, if we see it isn't working, which I don't see why it wouldn't, we can always put it on pause. It's also good to see that we're taking resources from our budget that might have gone unused in our economic development loan program and actually put it to some good use and create these incentives for the new business development. So thanks for putting this together. This is good.
Any other comments? This is a very good program. It was several months ago that I spoke and said we needed to preserve our resources until the time was right, so that we could make an impact, not just do something that felt good at the time. And this is what we're talking about. We've been working on this. I also want to thank the board because they were all briefed on this very early on, probably back in mid-March, and they've all kept it quiet because obviously we want to take advantage of being the ones in the area that are doing this. So thank you. This is good for the residents because you're going to get anywhere from $10 to $30 back, and that's each adult in your household can do that. And then also, if you're buying a car, now would be a good time to do it because you'll get a rebate back on that as well. So it's good for our residents. Also, obviously, very good for our businesses because the whole goal here is to drive traffic to them. And then hopefully with the money that you get back in your $30 or up to $525 if you buy a $70,000 vehicle, that hopefully you're coming back and spending that money in Orland Park as well. So it's the shop and dine part of the program, retail and restaurants. Retail and restaurants are the lifeblood of our economy. And obviously they've been severely hurt by this. So this is going to help a lot to drive traffic to them. Our auto row, which is the shop auto program, we're the third largest auto row in the state. People don't realize that. And if you factor in Tinley and Orland Hills, we're the #1 auto row in the state. So it's very critical to Orland Park, and it's very important to make sure they stay stimulated. And I know that they've lost up to 90% in their sales. Even though that their showrooms are still open by appointment, people just weren't buying cars. So the other nice thing about this is, was pointed out, we found basically a fund of pretty significant dollars, about a little over $500,000 actually, that was sitting there for a loan program for low interest loans, which was developed at a time when interest rates were high. Well, when interest rates are 3%, we really can't match the low interest loans. So because that money was sitting there, it's not even hurting our budget in any way. So this is a fantastic program. I want to thank George for first pitching the idea back in mid-March, and then we worked really hard together to hone it in. And I want to thank staff for all the work they've done on the marketing and all of that. I think, Kathy, you're really going to enjoy the videos that come out of this. We have that's going to be about 2 weeks. Well, they're going to shoot in 2 weeks, right? Probably about 4 weeks, and the video will be out. We unfortunately had to wait till the weather was a little nicer and there's some people moving around to actually shoot anything. But that should be good, combined with the other stuff that we've done before with our videos. So it'll update and augment what we have. From all the research we did, and I did a lot of it talking to businesses, talking to our mall owners, and talking to our retailers and our auto row, it seems like from all their opinions, the bang for the buck is clearly in social media. So that's where the bulk of our advertising will go. But you will see some banners on our banner flags as well, which to draw people to the program. And again, as George said, the spending part of the program lasts for about a month. It lasts until just after the taste. The rest of it, though, this will be a marketing program that goes on in perpetuity. So it'll have its own website, links to the businesses. So very well done. Something I've been trying to work for a couple of years. The urgency of the current situation. We got staff more involved and engaged and made it a priority, so we were able to get that done. So I really appreciate all the hard work on that. Call the roll.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Calendrello? Aye. Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye.
Appointment of new municipal retirement fund authorized agent for the Village of Orland Park.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
resolution number, please.
2032.
I move to pass resolution number 2032 entitled, "A Resolution Appointing a New Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund Authorized Agent for the Village of Orland Park."
Second.
Any questions or comments? Trustee Malani, you sure you don't have a comment on this one?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
I'd like to welcome Denise to our staff. There you go.
Any other comments?
Give me a chance to talk.
George had something to say.
George, you have something to say?
All I wanted to do was introduce Denise. Denise, if you could stand up. Denise is our new Human Resources Director. She comes to us from Tinley Park, where she was the Human Resources Director, and she'll be replacing Stefana, who's taking advantage of our ERI. So today is Denise's first day.
Welcome.
Welcome. Any other comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Dodge?
Aye.
Trustee Fenton?
Aye.
Trustee Calendrello?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye. Is there anybody here to speak? You can go up to that microphone up there.
Good evening. I just wanted to start again by expressing appreciation for our police department. And I know very well that they're a team of amazing, dedicated, professional individuals, and I'm particularly grateful for their proactive response to recent situations. One of the reasons my husband and I moved back to Orland was because we know it's a safe community in which to raise a family. That said, I also think it's important for us all to realize that not everyone has had the same experiences with law enforcement, and that, as with most institutions, our criminal justice system as a whole does have many flaws and too often does not treat all people equally as it should. I've been disappointed that at the last meeting and again tonight, the board has failed to recognize or acknowledge the general systemic inequalities that have been behind recent demonstrations. I'm so proud of my fellow community members who showed up this past weekend in support of Black Lives and to encourage productive conversations with local police departments and civic leaders to try to fix some of these broader systemic problems. And I'm hopeful that, as Trustee Dodge mentioned earlier, that this month can be an opportunity to have some more of those conversations. I wanted to follow up on the message of the peaceful demonstrators and ask that the board engage in conversations on how to continue to improve policies aimed at keeping our police department at the top of its game, serving and protecting all residents and visitors to our community. I applaud the outreach efforts and the recent approval to contract with, I think it was Trinity Services, to better serve individuals experiencing mental health crises. And I agree that this move will better serve residents as well as relieve officers of being placed in situations beyond their training and expertise. I hope that the village will continue to seek and fund opportunities to address community needs holistically. I'm thankful that our community has not experienced issues as witnessed in other communities across the nation, but I know the board values proactive planning And as a teacher and fellow public servant, I also know that it is absolutely necessary to consistently listen, reflect, improve policies and practices as new situations, viewpoints, and information arise. Additionally, I think silence on an issue speaks volumes. While I wholeheartedly agree that our police department and the individual officers and staff deserve our appreciation for their service to our community, I also think that as a village, we need to be more vocal that Black lives do in fact matter. And I encourage village leaderships to not just allow residents to protest and speak their mind, but to actually listen, reflect, and be more mindful of how we can make Orland Park a safer, more welcoming, and inclusive community that we can all be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and can we have your name also?
Oh, Catherine Sokolowski?
Did you get that, John?
I didn't.
You can give it to
I'll get
John.
it from him.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
I did not intend to speak when I came in today, but several comments from the trustees made me feel like I had to get up and say things.
And again, can we have your name?
I am Joanna Sokolowski.
Okay.
It was inquired what the village's legal responsibility would be if a COVID outbreak were to arise because of the July 4th celebration. What is your moral responsibility? Until I was laid off because of COVID-19 cutbacks, I worked in what was considered essential retail. I did not have a choice about going to work and being exposed to potential infection. I live with my two parents who are well within the high-risk category. I did not have a choice about exposing them. One of the trustees mentioned that you would be putting your staff at risk at the 4th. If somebody goes to this celebration and contracts COVID, and then they go to a store and they infect a cashier who financially has no choice about going to work, and then they go home and infect their elderly relatives. Or, as another trustee said, this disease affects everybody. You have 20, 30-year-olds in perfect health dying with lungs that can barely be recognized as lungs. The impression I'm getting from all the trustees is that you're all secure. You can choose to go to work or not. You can decide if you want to go to the office. What about all the people that don't have that choice? And you're talking about making a statement. It's a virus. It does not care about symbolic gestures. It is here, and if we don't allow for that and take care of people, it's going to continue. The mayor quoted Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Life is the first one listed. And right now you're putting everybody's pursuit of happiness before that. And then putting it on everybody else. No, it's your fault. You took that choice, and you got sick. What about those of us that don't have the choice?
1 minute. Thank you for your comments. Any other comments?
There's a lady back there.
Hi. Kind of hard to go after that. My name is Jerry Gordon. I would just like to comment on the situation I've had with your Development Services Department. I had a neighbor who installed a fence on their property, but it was installed while they were standing on mine. I was under the impression that a permit, and according to your rules and regulations that are listed on your website, that it said that a fence had to be installed within the property for which the permit was pulled. I had a complaint. I had 2 police reports. I have video of them installing the fence while standing in my property and walking around my backyard, and your Development Services Department told me that they would not issue any code violation to my neighbor. Okay? So I think you guys need to make your fence rules and regulations a little bit clearer, because I'm being told that it's open to interpretation. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? And in the future, for everyone who's not used to doing this, please sign in. It's very helpful if you sign in before speaking. Any other comments? Board comments, Trustee Fenton.
I just want to reiterate again, I'm all for the fireworks and all for Independence Day, and I hope everybody does enjoy the 4th and the firework display that we're putting on for all the residents and anyone else who chooses to enjoy it. I did notice on the shop sign, which is rather cute, usually when you refer to shop, it's usually the female with the shopping bag and the high heels and the short skirt. And at least this way, it's for everybody to go shopping, male, female, and whomever. So I thought that was really clever to just put up a nice shopping bag and encourage everyone to go. And I think it's going to be a phenomenal program. I'd also like to, this goes to all of our business owners, restaurants who put up outdoor seating. I was at Papa Joe's on Friday. I saw Marilyn. She was also there. And I think it's great. The clientele was coming in, and I know at all the other places, everybody's doing really well. And I hope that for the future, we can come up with some type of ordinance that we can allow the restaurants to expand their outdoor seating for the summertime. I think the people really enjoy it. They're out and they're about. And I even was at Cafe Gaston. Trustee Katsinas and Mayor Pekow were also there, and it was raining. But we were under the little canopy, so it was just great to be outside. And I think everybody in the community is enjoying it. So if the board, goes along with it, I think we should have staff look at coming up with an ordinance to allow this to continue in the future.
We've talked about that
Right.
a couple times already.
Mm-hmm. So just wanted to say it's a great event for all the restaurants too.
Trustee Dodge?
Just a couple of comments. So, number of issues tonight were, I don't think, overly contentious, but they were important issues, and I'm glad that collectively we're taking steps back towards normality. More broadly, right, and I think to some of the comments that were made, I don't think that any good student of world history or U.S. history has ever been under the illusion the U.S. is perfect. And I think that as a civil society, we have a lot of work to be done in terms of making sure that the things that we hold as our aspirations and our founding documents and the way we execute our daily lives as individuals continues to progress in a positive way. I've never particularly thought that we all have true equality in the eyes of the law, so that's a work in progress. I think that there's a hell of a lot of things in our system of governance and our system of governed marketplaces actually is perfect in any given moment, but it's in many ways a damn sight better than any place else on planet Earth. So with that, I sincerely hope as a community, as a state, as a nation, that we continue to work towards a better place. We're not there yet, never have been. Humans are a work in progress.
Trustee Calandrello.
Just a couple comments. First of all, I've got a lot of residents, I don't know why this year, have approached me regarding the water bill. I don't know if we could, as a village, have a discussion about it at a committee of the whole, or even just talk about how we haven't raised, at least we, the village, hasn't raised prices. Maybe talk about how we get it from the city and how those issues are. I just feel like maybe a little more education. So it's not our fault your water bill's so high. Also educate people about if you use less, you pay less. Also, we're going to be having a conversation, I believe, soon about our rates. So it might be a good, this is where we're at, FYI, what's your opinion kind of thing. So I feel like I don't get approached a lot when I'm walking around the neighborhood, but for some reason, it's all about the water bill, among other things. And then also, I want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. I want to participate, be safe and healthy during it and celebrate their independence. It's one of my favorite holidays, and I'm going to miss not being able to go in a traditional way. And then finally, I'm glad that young lady spoke today, because I've been having an internal discussion with my wife and my family about all the events that's been going on, and I didn't really say anything too much other than how well our police department's trained into a lot of these issues that help us with CTI, and we just got a grant from DOJ going to help us with mental health issues, and maybe if we had entities that help more, our police don't have to deal with all that. And I'm really glad that people talked about the peaceful protest of a resident that took place on the corner of 143rd and LaGrange. And when I kissed my daughter goodnight today, because she's usually in bed when I go home, I wanted her to be proud of me as an elected official and to make sure that I wasn't silent during this time. I feel like I'm somewhat of an open individual, someone who cares about the Constitution, who cares about all people. And I just commend the protesters working well with the police department. And everyone's good people, and I know labels sometimes or chants get in the way. You know, chants from the history of Burn Baby Burn dilutes from the message, the positive message from it, or Black Lives Matter, or all the different slogans. Not saying that they're negative or defund police or anything like that. I just think sometimes bad slogans taint good-willed people that want change. And I believe that on this board, I believe that it needs to be stated that racism of any kind is not tolerated in this village. I think it has to be said. I don't think anyone up here has those beliefs, negative beliefs, but someone's got to say it here, that racism of any kind is not tolerated in this village. I think it's my duty as a village official, as a village elected official, to ensure that our citizens feel safe, they feel respected, and they're treated with respect. I just thought it needed to be said. So I have a voice. I don't know how big that voice is on this corner, but I feel like I needed to say that to the residents, to society, and more importantly, to my little daughter and my son, who hopefully don't have to worry about this BS in the future. Thank you.
Trustee Healy.
I'd like to do something unusual. That is to compliment one of our neighbors to the east, Bremen Township and Maggie Crotty. They brought in, they're now leasing space to NAMI, N-A-M-I, National Alliance on Mental Illness. This is another, like Dan touched on with the Department of Justice grant that we've gotten, some more help for the mental illness in the community. We're meeting this NAMI their purpose is to meet the needs of hundreds of individuals seeking out education and support on mental health challenges. They've been servicing the south suburbs, and now they'll be servicing from Bremen Township, and they'll be just about a block outside of Orland. So I consider this is going to be a benefit to the Orland community as a whole, and I applaud Bremen Township for being a leader in this area. So I think we'll all benefit from this, and it's not enough, but I hope we have more help from other nonprofits like this. Thanks.
Trustee Katsinas.
Trustee Healy, just to piggyback on that, I had somebody within our family, although distant, that was in dire need of mental health care. And I cannot say enough what a great job the Orland Park Police Department did with that, and Trinity Services working together. So it affects a lot of people in a lot of different ways. I think as Trustee Calandrello said, we're in very tough times. I think people react differently, and having a daughter that's a nurse practitioner in mental health, she has her plate full right now. So I think if we all be mindful of one another, be good to one another, and try to be kind, no matter what you look like, who you are, just to be a good person. So thank you.
Trustee Malani.
It's been quite an interesting meeting tonight. I think we all came to agreement that we're going to allow people to shop, dine, and play in Orland Park, which is fantastic. We're going to allow them to use fitness centers, parks, playgrounds. But we all can't agree to allow them to celebrate their independence. The exact thing that allows us to gather here tonight to discuss the items we discussed, to share our thoughts and opinions, the one that allows us to protest, the one that allows us to come here and speak freely. We mentioned all men are created equal. All men are created equal. Think about that. So when we talk about Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, they all matter. Every single one of them. So when we think about this, let's not focus on the negativity. Let's focus on the positivity. That everybody in this room matters. The essential workers, the police officers, the people that protect you on a day-to-day basis, the board up here. We're just here to help make decisions and run the village. But, you know, it's really up to everybody to, you know, show equality and to figure out how to do that the best way they can. So as we go home tonight, think about your neighbors, think about your friends, think about your loved ones, and think about one thing you can do to make this world a better place to the people you're around. Thank you.
Thank you. So there was a lot of stuff discussed tonight. I think we got a lot of good work done. You know, a theme, part of it in the commentary, but part of a theme of the last probably 2 months, to me, are double standards and hypocrisy, and that's what's more frustrating to me than anything. I understand, and I think most of us do, people that may have a different point of view. Obviously, COVID, there's people with different points of view. But what I don't understand, where people have a difficult time is the hypocrisy of a double standard. For example, we need to worry about exposing people, but we go to a protest of 400 or 500 people. But our worries are all about you exposing someone, but not me exposing someone. So I can do what I want to do, but you can't do what you want to do. I think I echo Trustee Dodge's point, which is everybody has a choice. But if you're out there exposing people, don't point fingers at someone else for their actions. If you are always steadfastly staying at home, not shopping, not doing those things, then by all means continue to voice your opinion. But don't tell everybody, don't go shop here, don't go do this, don't go open your restaurant, your business that supports your livelihood when you're out shopping on a regular basis because other stores are open and you want to. That's probably been one of the most frustrating things I've witnessed through all of this. And I will reiterate, we all have a choice. So those of you who don't think that we need to wear masks, that we need to open everything up, try and keep a safe distance from other people, just out of respect for them, which I think most people have tried to do. For those of you who think that you should stay at home and not do anything, well, by all means, stay at home and don't go do anything. We all have the, so I guess at the end of the day, it comes down to individual choice. And I look at the data very regularly. I'd be shocked if anyone looks at it more than I do, though some of you maybe look at it as much as I do. I've been tracking it very closely. I'm in a lot of meetings regarding this. It's pretty clear where we're at from a phase perspective. It's pretty clear what the experts think. And it's time for us to keep moving forward, because the only way you get to return to normal is to start returning to normal. You never get there if you don't actually take the step to go there. And that's the whole idea of the 14-day phasing, as CDC and the WHO recommend, is that you see what you do in the 14 days. Well, what we've seen in 14 days is we opened up a lot, and we had riots, and we had looting, and we had people protesting in close proximity, and still our cases are going down. Everything, all the metrics are being met. So that's what we've seen. And so everything that we've seen from a data perspective, no one here, I don't think anyone on this board, whether, and we do have disagreement on whether to, you know, how fast we should open, what we should open. I don't think anyone here has ever professed to say, just open everything all the time, right now. In fact, we submitted the Restore Illinois plan, or before the Restore Illinois plan, we submitted our plan to reopen 2 weeks before that. Over 90% of it's the same. The few differences are pretty significant differences, but ours follow the CDC, and so that's where we took our guidance from. Regarding our police, you know, I've heard this, and I said it tonight. Personally, don't believe it's a systemic problem. I think it's a problem. I think there are places where it's a huge problem, but there's 18,000 law enforcement agencies. And most of these agencies, you never hear from them about this. You don't hear from ours, because it's about leadership and people in the community being involved. You hear the issue in Minneapolis, which should have never happened. You hear these issues from time to time, and they do happen because you have 700,000 people, and in 700,000 people, you're not going to get 700,000 perfect ones. And they're not going to have a perfect reaction to every situation. And we've certainly made many changes. I think you could talk to Deputy Chief Mitchell back there, and he would tell you that policing today in Orland Park looks far different. Would you agree with that? Far different today than it looked when you first started? Absolutely. because we constantly engage the community, we constantly listen, we constantly talk, and we constantly improve, and we use every opportunity to do that. That's what we already do. We don't talk about doing it because we already do it. Doing it's what is important. Talking about it means nothing. It's your actions that matter. And here in Orland Park, we've been acting on it. And we've been acting on it since I've been here. We've been acting on it for 20 years before that and the boards before that, because everyone that's been on the board values that, and it's important. So I think that's important to remember. I'd also lastly like to thank our June retirees. As you know, we have an early retirement program. In total, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 people leaving. A combined 257 years of experience are walking out the door. So that's a challenge. It's a leadership challenge for George. It's a challenge for the village. It's also an opportunity. There's new faces, bring new ideas. But these folks have done a great job because 257 years, this many people, it's over 25 years per person. So they've seen Orland Park change a lot in 25 years. So we'll start with Sandra Pachuca, payroll administrator in the finance department, who's 21 years. Claudine Dumas-Veerd, 25 years, is a telecommunicator in the police department. Benny Stable, utility supervisor, public works, 32 years. Bill Cunningham, assistant to the public works director, 44 years. Bill Dahlman, foreman of the public works building maintenance, 29 years. Irene Bukema, the recreation division manager, 20 years. Rich Rittenbacher, streets operations manager, 33 years. Margaret Miller, support services assistant manager, police department, 20 years. Stefana Przbilski, and I got that right, human resources director, take note, John, 21 years. Barbara Rhodes, senior special recreation program coordinator, recreation department, 12 years. I think all of you that are here, stand up. I think just Stefana, right? Stefana. So thank you so much, Stefana. So I want to thank everyone. Enjoy, because we won't be back until after July 4th. Enjoy the July 4th celebration. Enjoy it safely. Follow social distancing. Give people that aren't in your group, give them space. I think the Orland Park residents have shown they can do that. They've done that regularly all through this entire experience, and they'll continue to do that. And I think we'll have a great event. And then that's the nice precursor for our Taste of Orland at the end of the following month. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Fenton.
move to go in executive session for A, approval of minutes, B, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific village employees, C, pending litigation against, affecting, or on behalf of the village when found by the board that such action is probable or imminent.
Second.
Call a roll.
Trustee Fenton.
Aye.
Trustee Calangelo.
Aye.
Trustee Dodge.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Malani. Mayor Pico.
Aye. Okay. So all the spectators are going to have to leave because we're going to do executive session in here.